Hello and welcome to Computer Retro Bus. Before ATI became a big monster with the Radeon, they had this. The Rage 128 Pro. Or any Rage really. They were everywhere. ATI Rage cards. You can't avoid these things. In today's episode we're going to look at the history of these cards and then run a few benchmarks on the one that I have here. See how they really performed back in the day. So Rage Pro, Rage chips, they were everywhere because ATI was partnered with a lot of OEM manufacturers and they had a lot of their chips embedded into systems, especially pre-built stuff. IBM, Dell, Apple stuff. So you see a lot of motherboards, and I see a lot of them on Facebook Marketplace, especially the IBM stuff, which I really love. And I'm like, I'd love to pick that up, but it's got an embedded ATI card and no AGP slot. So you can't actually plug another AGP card in there. It's connected via AGP bus, but you know, it's an embedded chip and I can't do anything with it. I tend to avoid those ones. But ATI were everywhere when it came to those OEM type boxes, so much so that they didn't, from my recollections, they didn't focus so much on the gamers. That sort of came more with the Radeon line. But with the Rage Pro, they were just, you know what, they're making so much money through manufacturers and OEM partnerships that they didn't care about selling direct to public too much. Whereas, you know, NVIDIA, Voodoo, they were selling directly to gamers and they were marketing directly to gamers as well. So this card was really a direct competitor to the early Voodoos, Voodoo 2, and probably like the TNT. We're talking about 1999, 1998 era. You know, it was a very forgettable card, to be honest. I mean, when I was, you know, gaming and I had my systems back then, I really can't recall these being, you know, too special or too sought after. Everyone was really deep into the Voodoos. Voodoo was the dominant one. Voodoo really started it all. They sort of showed that, you know, you could create a 3D card and there was a market for it and people were willing to pay that price for that sort of performance. You know, they weren't the first creators of the 3D games card, obviously, but they were the first ones to make that advanced, big leap and, you know, charge for it, and people were willing to pay for it because they saw that performance difference and, you know, it just looks so much better, it ran so much better. So then after that, you know, a lot of the other manufacturers were all trying to catch up and then start getting into this market that they realized was available. ATI came more from that 2D space, a bit like Matrox, and then entered the 3D market. But you know, this late 90s era, everyone was trying to get in on it. We had Matrox, we had S3 with their stuff, we had ATI, NVIDIA, and Voodoo, 3DFX, just trying to keep that dominance that they already had established. So it was really, you know, it wasn't this duopoly that we have then. You know, everyone was trying to get in on this thing and try and be one of those big market forces.
So I found an old article from PC Power Play. I still love this magazine. And look at this. This is how much this thing cost. This is the Rage Fury, which pretty much was the Rage Pro. They just gave these things so many different names, but they were pretty much the same processor. But you look at this price, $450. I mean, we complain about GPU prices today, but back then that was a lot of money. If I turn the page, you have a look at this, the Voodoo 3 3000, same price. You know, in the long term, if you bought the Voodoo, you're doing pretty well. The cost of those things now, yeah, much better return on investment. Let's start with a bit of history. So in '96, ATI releases the 3D Rage. These were early cards, widely available for 2D, 3D accelerators, but they were pretty basic. You know, they had basic 3D capabilities in a single card. While they were decent enough, they were nowhere near the real deal, which were the 3DFX Voodoo cards that destroyed them. In '97, they released the Rage 2 and Rage Pro, so this is when ATI began taking 3D a little bit more seriously, realizing that it wasn't just a passing phase. These cards supported really early Direct3D and OpenGL, offering decent enough image quality, performing reasonably well for the time, but they also earned ATI a reputation for inconsistent drivers. Despite that, Rage Pro cards were everywhere, making ATI a familiar name for PC games. Like I said, they were thrown into just about every OEM box. Then came '98. It was clear that ATI really needed a major architectural leap, and this is when they released the Rage 128. Unlike the previous Rage chips, the Rage 128 was completely new designed, aimed at directly competing with NVIDIA's TNT and the 3DFX Voodoo. It had full 32-bit color rendering, a much better Direct3D and OpenGL performance, and a focus on a bit more serious 3D gaming, rather than the OEM junk that they'd been pumping out for so long, but you know, that was their cash cow. Onto the card now that we're going to review today. The ATI Rage 128 Pro / Ultra / Fury. My god, they gave this thing so many different names, and their line is confusing enough as it is. This was pretty much just an updated Rage 128 with higher clock speeds and slightly better features. And in late '99, ATI go ahead and release this monster, the ATI Rage Fury Max. Notice the double X's. They basically strapped two Rage 128 Pros onto the same card. Why go out and buy 2 Voodoo 3D FXs when you could go on the one card, eh? Now on paper, this gave a performance that could actually rival or even beat the NVIDIA's TNT2. But it had some serious issues with drivers and only really worked properly on the Windows 98. If you tried to run this thing on Windows XP or 2000, it basically only used one GPU. If you ever come across one of these, grab it. It's a rare collector's piece. It's just a beautiful disaster.
So what we'll do is we'll put this into an appropriate error system. I've got a Pentium III 550 megahertz running Windows ME. Why not? And you know what? We'll benchmark it. We'll have a look at how it performed and see how good was this card back in its day?
Okay, let's get some testing and benchmarking. We'll kick it off with 3D Mark 2000. So right off the bat, it's not looking so bad, is it? The helicopter, we're looking at, 30s, mid-30s. Pretty stable frame rate. This was par for the course in that era, so these numbers aren't too bad. They're not great, but they're not too bad either. When we go to higher detail, you do see that it does suffer quite a bit. But it does look good. Graphics look great. Frame rate, not so much. Moving on to the adventure, it's looking pretty good. Again, those mid-30s, high 30s, looks decent enough. Even when you go to a higher detail one, it's still sticking to the 30s, which is looking pretty good. So yeah, looking at the final score, we've got 1792, which isn't that crash hot. For this card, you sort of expect 1900 to 2000 is pretty typical. This one is a little bit slower, and I think it is due to my card actually having 16 meg rather than 32 meg. So I can see that it's probably getting penalized for that lack of memory. All right, on to the next one.
Let's get some Need for Speed. Alrighty, it's looking good already. Let's have a look at the 640x480. Let's change that to. Let's go. Okay, 100 by 600 is max. That's fine. Whoa, that's frame rates. Okay.
3, 2,
1. Come on. All right. Oh, this looks great. Look at this. Oh, this game was so good when it came out. Graphics are a really big leap, you know. Just improved geometry. And that reflection map across that back windscreen. I mean, it wasn't a real reflection map. It was just more of something that just, look, you go underneath something and it still reflects the sky. But, it was interactive. As the card turned, the reflections changed. It was pretty cool. But yeah, the frame rate on this is very playable. This is pretty good, 800 by 600. 30s are very good. Especially for back then, this was really good. We were very much used to games stuttering. Oh my God, what's that traffic doing? We were very much used to games stuttering quite a bit back then, so to get this, you would be very happy. I know this game came out in '97, so it was a little bit before the hardware. And the hardware was evolving and changing so quickly then as well. Look at those reflections. It's just a bit too much. But game-wise, playing-wise, the experience is fantastic. 800 by 600 with these sorts of graphics, I would have been very happy. Let's see our performance with 32-bit color compared to 16-bit. I reckon there's going to be quite a bit of a performance difference. Let's have a look how we go. So this is 1024 by 768, 32-bit color. So yeah, it's sort of in the teens to 20s. We sometimes touch the 20s, don't we? But nothing. Oh, it's very difficult to play. Oh my God, what a shot! Oh. Yeah, it is difficult to play. Just really hard to time, quite jaggy, jumpy. Yeah, would not recommend it. Oh, very difficult to aim. So I'm getting lucky more than anything else with these kills that I'm getting. All right, you know what? Let's crank it. Let's have a look. Let's try it with 16-bit colors. Okay, this is better. Yeah, this is much more acceptable. Still not the best, but you're hitting sort of 20s to 30s, which is much better. Yeah, look, I would have played with this. I probably would have been happy to play with this. Not the best, but not the worst. This is what performance was like back then, though. I mean, the 60, 100 frame stuff that we expect today is not what it was like back then. This is just how we gamed, unless you can really afford the absolute best. All right, so here we go. 16-bit color, 800 by 600. There we go. It's actually touching the sort of pump up to 40 at one stage. But yeah, very playable, decent enough. You know what? If anything, it actually brings back the real nostalgic feel, because this is how we really played. This is how the games really felt. I mean, we have the systems we build now, the retro machines, are way more overpowered than what we really had. And this system is really probably reflects more truly what a person would have had back then. And you know, this was not a cheap system. The games were just becoming so much more demanding. I think this card being a little bit more limited because it is the 16 meg version. Oh, I'm going to die. This is the 16 meg version rather than the 32 meg, so I think that is not really helping it much either. Okay, let's play some Unreal Tournament. Alright, here we go. Oh, these frames look pretty damn good, don't they? Oh yeah. So this is running, let's have a look at the settings. So 800 by 600, 16-bit color. Yeah, look, the frames here are actually very good. You know, graphics aren't the highest quality, but this game is very playable. Look how smooth that is. This is excellent. You know, you'd be very competitive playing at these sort of resolutions. Very good. Getting some really weird artifacting now. Look at that. Yeah. Once you get close, it's okay, but at a certain distance, it's just doing some weird rendering action with these corners. Let's have a look. Let's crank it up. Let's see if we go to 1024 by 768. Yeah, so someone's hitting me up already. The graphics look so much better. Okay, so you know what? Oh my god, it's doing some funky stuff. Look at that. Yeah, it's interesting. Stuff from a distance. What is? Oh god, the blob gun. Does anyone like this gun? No one likes this gun. Look at it. It's horrible. Wow, this is running really good. In these hallways, look at this. I must say, this is the interesting thing about this card is that from 800 to 600, 800 by 600 to 1024 by 768, the frames are very similar at 16-bit. Penalty isn't too bad, but the graphics look so much better. It's so much sharper at 1024 by 768. But I will say that artifacting around here, look at this. It looks, yeah, doing some funny stuff. I mean, if I was at a LAN with some friends and I was getting these sorts of frames, yeah, you'd be pretty happy. I mean, this sort of hardware, if you had built this machine in, say, 99, when all these parts were, I mean, it would have cost you quite a bit. So, you know, you'd always compromise by settings, and you know, no one ran everything full. I'm actually I'd be pretty happy with this. It's really good. Yeah, good fun game, and it's running it pretty well. Even in like the open areas where there's lots of polygons on the screen here, it's running it. You know, it's all above 30 frames, 30 FPS, which is pretty damn good. Yeah, this artifact is interesting. It seems to go to a certain distance. So once you here, look at it, it pops up. Once you get closer, it starts rendering correctly. Oh, someone's having a crack. And you know, in certain games like this, that was fantastic. It was great. But other games that came out a bit later, it did struggle. It was amazing the difference that 1 year made back then. We'll give Pod a go next, but I think with Pod you had to change. It wouldn't let me run it. You had to change your desktop to 16-bit colors, so it really must go off the desktop setting. Okay. Now let's have the options. Graphics, let's crank it up 800 by 600. And the graphics look so we're getting great frames. But yeah, look at this. This is crazy. I mean, this is insane frames for back in the day. Getting 60 frames, you'd be very, very happy. This is obviously an earlier game, and it doesn't have a lot of geometry to render. Really made for the Pentium era. So I've got a Pentium II, 500 megahertz with a hardware renderer. This is really over the top. I mean, look at this. This car looks like it's floating rather than actually. Oh, here we go. Okay, it's touched the ground now. And the collision detection. Look at it. I'm not actually touching him, but the hitboxes are a little bit bigger than the cars. And what on earth is happening? Oh, it's not rendering the roof. Okay, that's weird. Okay, no ceilings rendered. Oh, yeah, that sound is really weird. It's sort of cutting in and out. Look at it. Stutter. Oh, yeah. No, this is not rendering correctly. Something's not right. And the cars look like they're floating. Look at the car to my right. It's floating rather than actually on the ground. Oh, you stacked it. Things just do not look right. Look at this. Half this car's missing. When you get there, okay, then it renders it, but it's a really bizarre, doing some funny stuff. Oh, these are the really early days of 3D. All sorts of stuff could happen, and hardware was quite particular. Okay, so I have that thing still Unreal Gold. I realized that the original Unreal, version 1, didn't support general OpenGL or Direct 3D. You had to have either Voodoo, 3DFX Voodoo, or PowerVR. This is why Voodoo was king. Everything was just made for it. I used to have a Voodoo back in the day. So here we go. So we can do 3DFX, Direct 3D, or software rendering. The original Unreal didn't have that option. It was just 3DFX, PowerVR, or software rendering. So here we go. We've got Direct 3D now. So let's have a look at that intro screen. Yeah, those frame rates look much better. Much better. There's textures as well. Wow, it's really shooting up. This must be a low resolution, because this is pretty high frame rates. If I had these sorts of frame rates, I'd be very happy. Oh yeah. Oh wow, artifacting like crazy as you go through that fog. Yeah, it's not a perfect chip, is it? Yeah, the Unreal Engine does some funny stuff with those distant artifacts. We're getting the same thing in Unreal Tournament as well. For distance, it just does this weird thing. The pixels are popping around. When you get close to that actual texture, it comes good. Okay, so there it is, the Rage 128 Pro. You know what? This is a perfect card for its time and its place. I really feel like if you want an authentic feel of what it was like gaming in those mid to late 90s, you can't go wrong with this. And they're very readily available. You know, Voodoos, early G-Forces, TNT2, Ultras, they're very difficult to find and they're very expensive now. GeForce 256, same. So easy to find, and they will give you that authentic feel. I mean, some of the retro stuff is about playing those games that you used to play with a system that's way over powerful, running it, you know, top spec, everything like that. But that wasn't how it was when we were playing them. You know, genuinely didn't feel like that. I think this card is great. It really represents on a Pentium III 500-ish system. This was a beast of a system. This is what it was like, and this is what I would recommend. So yeah, look, I was actually cynical about this card, especially because, again, they're everywhere. They were just such an OEM, almost spammed everywhere of a card. But you know what? They're good. Was it perfect? No, hell no. But it was good enough. And you know, back then, for the prices that you're paying, good enough was still good. And they will give you that real retro feel, retro frame rates as well. I want to say a big thank you for all you guys watching. I really appreciate all the views and all the interaction I've been having. It's been an amazing journey, and I really love continuing on and going through this awesome retro stuff that we experienced back in our day. So really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who's bought me a coffee. Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you again. If you would like to support my channel, you can buy me a coffee. The link is in the description. Thank you again. I hope to see you in the next one.